Our top focus, a delegation of the Janata Vimukti Peramuna Marxist-Leninist Party in Sri Lanka is on an official visit to India. The visit marks an important outreach to Anura Kumara Dissanayake, perceived by analysts as the island nation's most popular politician at the moment. The JVP party opposed the 1987 Indo-Lanka Peace Accord but has since shifted its stance, and analysts say that Indian aid saved the island nation from economic anarchy, and that could be one of the reasons for this visit. In New Delhi, Dissanayake met India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar. The two leaders discussed bilateral ties and Sri Lanka's economic challenges. Jaishankar underlined that India will always be a reliable friend and a trusted partner. The popularity of Dissanayake is surging in Sri Lanka. As per a survey conducted by the Institute for Health Policy, a Colombo-based independent research organization, he is the most preferred candidate in a likely presidential election this year. Dissanayake leads in presidential election voting preferences on 50%, with Sajid Premadasa on 33%. Beginning in late March 2022, as Sri Lanka experienced its worst economic crisis yet, more than 100 self-organized and creative protests spread across the country. In the weeks preceding the protest, Sri Lankans battled power cuts that lasted over half a day. They also battled soaring prices of food and other essential commodities. Inflation reached 25% in only a few months, and people stood in queues for many hours to buy fuel and gas. The sustained protests marked a remarkable movement of the common people who ultimately pushed Gotabaya Rajapaksa and his regime to resign. The Janata Vimukti Peramuna led a campaign in the late 1980s against the India-Sri Lanka Accord, which led to the presence of India's armed forces in the island as the Indian peacekeeping force. And for more analysis, we are now being joined by A. Jatindra from the Sri Lankan city of Trincomalee. He is a political analyst and director of the Centre for Strategic Studies. So welcome to Beyond World is One.
Thanks for having me.
My first question, sir. Sri Lanka's JVP-led alliance has been invited for talks in Delhi for the first time. Tell us about the significance of this meeting, especially given Mr. Dissanyake's soaring popularity back home.
Yeah, the JVP visit to India can be viewed as a historic event because it conveys a clear message how JVP is an important political force in Sri Lanka, but the party has never been in power. But after the economic crisis and after the popular uprising, the people are losing hopes on the traditional parties. That is the reason the JVP considered as an alternative to the mainstream parties. So in that sense, in my view, the Indian government of India invited JVP because it is considered as an alternative force to the mainstream parties in Sri Lanka. That is and also it is clearly indicate the upcoming election will be important one in that sense.
Mr. Jatindra, does this meeting also mark a shift in the JVP's position on India? So why now?
The main thing is, yes, JVP is well known and therefore it's an anti-Indian campaign based on its history and what it did in the past. But even though the JVP considered as an alternative force, that's the reason the India considered need to talk with JVP. I mean, because it is very clear that in the Sri Lankan context, China has playing a key role in Sri Lanka. Everyone knows what's happening in the Maldives. So in that sense, the JVP considered as an alternative force, according to the independent fools also saying the JVP considered as an alternative, and also JVP considered as a decisive factor in the upcoming presidential election. That is the reason the Indian government considered to talk with the JVP, and at least, I mean, in my view, once they takes power, then definitely the Indian government will work with them. That is the reason India considered to the party.
Right, so thank you so much for all your inputs. Thanks for joining us on Beyond at this hour.
Thank you very much.
Beyond World is One is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.